Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. I want to apologize for not being here on the screen yesterday. I'd had my eyes dilated at an eye doctor appointment, and to be on screen, especially with the green screen behind me, you've got to have bright lights right in front of you so the green screen is lit very evenly. Otherwise, it's really blotchy and doesn't work. And dilated eyes and bright lights don't work well. Joining me today, Amanda Suffecool, good friend and host of the Eye on the Target radio program. Sometimes she comes and helps over at Polite Society podcast, and she does on Friday evenings. She does the Women for Gun Rights show on OpsLens. Amanda, thanks for coming along today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, what I want to start with today, and first of all, I need to remind everybody, this is the last show I'm going to be doing live. The last show of this type I'm going to be doing live until Tuesday. I leave tomorrow. I'm driving to Detroit. I will not fly. I don't do that anymore, period. I don't like getting felt up by TSA, and among other things. But I'm driving to Detroit. I leave tomorrow. I may do live updates from the road. However, I'm not going to be doing a show where there's live feedback. I have a co-host commentator with me, and we talk about the news of the day. That's not going to happen again until Tuesday. We may be able to sneak in a bullet on Saturday or Sunday. We'll see what scheduling allows while we're helping Rick out. But the main thing we're all going there for is to help women learn to shoot, and that takes priority. So I'm just planning on the next time I do another show like this is going to be on Tuesday. So let me get Facebook hooked up here. If you do want to comment, you can comment on either the live Facebook or the live YouTube video. And if you're an OpsLens viewer, you can comment on Twitter. You can tweet with the hashtag Bullet Podcast. I'll get that right away. And we'll get your comment on the air and we'll discuss it. Amanda, what I want to talk about first, there was an article released yesterday. And by the way, thank you to Rob and Craig for taking over all the duties yesterday. All I had to do is sit in a dark room and push buttons. But they touched on this yesterday. My boss, Alan Gottlieb, and Dave Workman put out an article that it's time for malls to pull down the gun-free zone signs. I totally agree with the article. I wanted to use that to kind of branch off as a discussion between you and I and the listeners. If you've got a comment, please comment on the video. We'll get your comments up too. But a gun-free zone, there's several schools of thought when it comes to this. First one is, if they have a gun-free zone, that means they don't want my business. I'm going to oblige them. I'll take my business elsewhere. Second school of thought is, well, if in my state, gun-free zone signs don't hold the force of law. And so I'm going to do what I want. The gun's concealed. If they ask me to leave, I will. And then there's varying degrees of the gun-free zone sign does hold the force of law. We were talking just a little bit pre-show. What in Ohio, if you're caught with a gun in a gun-free zone, what happens?
Yeah, so Ohio's got a two-tiered system depending on whether they're listed in a book or not. So, but let's just say we're talking malls. We'll talk about the mall. And it's punishable by up to 30 days in jail and a $250 fine. So in a lot of cases, though there is the force of law behind it, people are like, I can afford that, right? Because it is exactly the same penalty for speeding. And we all know we can say, I can afford that. So because there's not a lot of people who say, oh, it's against a lot of speed, so I'm going to go exactly the speed limit. I'm married to probably the only person in the state of Ohio who doesn't speed, but
Well, having ridden in your car with you while you were driving, I can say there's only one of you that follows the speed limit when driving in that marriage.
it's a suggestion. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But no, the real issue is in looking at some of these places, there's somebody who makes a determination that affects everybody.
Mhm.
And as you talk about a mall, it is that somebody, the mall owner, makes the decision for every store in the mall. And one of the interesting things in Ohio is the fact that for the law to be in effect, so for you to have to follow Ohio law for not carrying in a mall or a public place, they have to have a sign, a clear sign at the door that you are entering. Well, what happens in a lot of the malls is that it has anchor store entrances, and then it has mall entrances. And in a lot of cases here, the anchor stores do not post it in the same way the mall entrances do. So you can modify your behavior by going through an anchor store and
Mhm.
into the mall and be perfectly legal at the same time somebody else walks in the front door to the mall and they are illegal in exactly the same clothing carrying exactly the same gun.
Yeah, it's you're flirting with New Jersey levels of law there. I mean,
Right. Yeah. So there's that. But we know that when you put a sign up, that says to the bad guy, "Oh well, I'm not going to break that law. I'm going to break the murder law, but I'm not going to break that law. The sign law."
right? Yeah, to you cannot make murder any more illegal. I mean, well, let's face it. Murder is more illegal in South Dakota than it is in New York because in South Dakota we'll kill you back. Even if the
Okay.
police catch you and take you in alive, we will still kill you back. We have the death penalty. New York, not so much. Illinois, not so much. California, definitely not so much. They may not even put you in jail in California.
Right.
Want to get a couple comments in here. George, love George Geller. George says, I only go to malls that have gun shops.
Right.
What I, in my personal life here around my hometown, I carry, period. And there aren't very many places that have no guns or guns not allowed, gun free zone, whatever signs. There aren't very many places at all. The hard, fast, you cannot go here with a gun is the post offices and schools.
Right.
And the schools you just cannot go in the building. The property, but it's just, you cannot go inside a school building while you're armed. All my kids are grown and gone. I've got grandkids that are out of school. I've got grandkids that are still in school, but not in my hometown here. But I don't go into schools and post office. I get everything sent to a UPS store mailbox. I don't use the post office for mail itself. So, Amazon all comes to the house.
Yeah,
UPS, FedEx.
there's there's very few places that are truly designated as gun-free zones. I mean, like in Ohio, it's jails, daycare centers, the courthouse, pretty much government entities where government work takes place.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of states that don't even have that set of rules. They do not. There are states in free America where you can carry in the state capital.
South
Ohio's not
Dakota is
one of
one of them.
those.
South Dakota is
No,
one.
Ohio is not.
Um, Legislators are absolutely allowed. As a visitor, if you call the day before, you call the state police the day before, say, I have a permit. I would like to attend the session of the legislature this day. I would like to bring my firearm. They will look up your permit. They'll say, okay. That
Yeah.
but you gotta pre-register, so to speak. But
Hmm.
um excuse me. But you can do it. Uh, and then where I want to go with this is, or I started to go with this anyway, is, general places like most people think are gun-free zones. My doctor, when I go to see my doctor, it's a gun-free zone. I'm armed. And the only people that know it are me and my doctor. We usually talk about guns when I go to see him.
Yeah, my doctor's armed also. So,
So,
so
yeah.
there's two of us in the room, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, the staff, they have no clue, but I walk right into the gun-free zone. I do not disarm.
Yeah. Right. We have to be careful because we are not proponents of breaking the law.
And I'm not breaking any laws.
Okay, we're proponents of changing the laws. And if there's private businesses that, because there's a difference, at least in many states, there's a difference between places that it's illegal and places where there's signage and there is a minor force of law. So you really have to know your state law and what there is. And then frankly, start to lobby to change it. Because with 25 states having constitutional carry, so many states are open to changing the law, to freeing up things. And this call by Alan Gottlieb and Dave Workman to say, mall owners, look at this, but it's mall owners, business owners, places where the public goes, this is a call to them to say, look, if you're disarming me, then you're going to provide security. And so far, looking at this disowning versus security, you stink at it. So let me provide my own security, and I practice. I don't stink nearly as bad.
Tennessee had a law get approved a couple years ago. I believe it's in effect. I'm pretty sure the governor signed it, but I'm not positive. I'm just pulling this off of the top of my head. Tennessee had a law go through that said if you have a gun-free zone sign and a shooting occurs in your store, you are liable if somebody could have been armed and wasn't. Mm-hmm. I think that I'm wondering how many gun-free malls there are in Tennessee.
Right. That would be an interesting question, because given that, all of a sudden the accountability falls where it should, in the person who's working to disarm the legal populace of America.
Yeah. Get a couple comments in here real quick. Mike White says, we do have the death penalty on the books in California. We just never use it. That's unfortunate. Right. Going to Donald Hobson's comment. The local major mall in Amarillo has a 30-06 and 30-07 signage posted at all road entrances. I refuse to enter these stores. It's a matter of time before we have a tragedy. And for those of you who are not in Texas, 30-06 and 30-07, 30-06 is the concealed carry sign, 30-07 is the open carry. They don't permit open carry sign. I believe I've got that right. I may have them reversed, but I think I got it right.
So the interesting part, like in the state of Ohio, is that they can't post the parking lot. And so if they put the sign at the road entrance, it has no bearing at all. It has to actually be on the door.
Yeah. George says, don't take your gun into the MRI machine.
Yep, or it's stuck to the wall.
The magnetic field will grab your gun with a great deal of force. The magnetic field will grab your gun with a great deal of force. George, you're right. I did have an MRI. I've had in the past 36 months, I believe I've had 4 MRIs. I've had 2 on the brain, 1 on my shoulder. So 3. And I did when one of they had a MRI of my brain. They did not take my ring off, and my head was in the MRI. My hands were folded across my chest down near my stomach, and I'm in the MRI, and I can feel my ring doing this number. And it's not even close to in the MRI machine itself. So I
Right.
very much believe that, yeah, the gun would go bzing, and even if it
Well,
were on the belt would go bzing, you know?
let's just go pants on, gun on, and they took your pants.
Yes,
So,
yes. Um, all right. And then again, if you want to comment on this, especially if you as you deal with it in your particular jurisdiction, again,
mhm.
get your comment in. We'll discuss it. I do want to move on. New Jersey, this coming off the truth about guns. Uh, New Jersey's acting attorney general Matthew Platkin announced Monday he has created a new statewide office specifically designed to harass the gun industry through civil nuisance lawsuits. According to a press release, the mission of Platkin's statewide affirmative firearms enforcement, or SAFE office, will be to bring civilly enforced actions against firearm companies to hold them accountable for violations of the law that harm the health and safety of New Jersey residents. The SAFE office, and that isn't that just a horrible acronym? The SAFE office's primary tool will be a new law Governor Murphy signed earlier this month, which allows the Attorney General to file civil lawsuits for certain public nuisance violations arising from sale or marketing of firearms.
Yeah,
Um,
when they went after Bushmaster and Bushmaster settled, that kind of opened a door where others then looked at it and said, well, okay, we can do something similar. And they're going to punish them in that way until frankly, it gets to a level to where it has to go to the Supreme Court and they fight against, someone defends the PLCAA.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And Bushmaster actually didn't settle. Bushmaster had gone through bankruptcy. It was part of a different company. It was the
right.
insurance company that was representing Bushmaster when that lawsuit was filed
Filed.
that settled.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You were very very much right. It's the insurance company, and they didn't want to continue to defend a company that no longer existed because they would never have a way to recoup whatever they were spending in legal fees.
Yeah, just and this is going to get shot down. This,
Yeah, it will.
yeah, it's
But it
going to
will
go.
take time and money, and somebody's got to be the case law.
Not only that, the state of New Jersey is spending New Jersey residents' the taxpayers' money to create this, then to enforce the new law that will get sued, and then they're going to spend the public's money to defend that law.
Hmm.
So,
But the politicians don't have anything invested because it's not their money. If they win, they win. If they lose, they're like, "Que sera, sera.
yeah,
I tried."
yeah, yeah. And then I'm gonna skip down. I do want to put this up here real quick. U.S.
Okay.
Capitol switchboard number 202-224-3121. Again, we are winning. You are winning, America.
Hmm.
This by Stephen Gutkowski off the Reload. There will not be a House vote on the assault weapons ban this month. Democrats failed to come to a compromise on how to move forward with both the ban and a police funding initiative on Wednesday instead of being scheduled for a vote. By the end of this week, they pushed back both bills past the August recess. I'm going to jump down here. I want to get a quote from Representative Kurt Schrader, Democrat from Oregon. This is a bill that destroyed the Democrats in '94. I guess, do we really have a death wish as Democrats? It undermines what we already did and reemphasizes to all the people in America that are not hardcore urban Democrats that our party is out of touch. Boy, a Democrat that seems to get it.
He gets it. Now, I had a meeting with my congressman on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked about this bill because at that point it had just come out of the committee, and he was like, "Yeah, it doesn't have the votes. There is no way it does not have the votes." And I mean, he was very confident of that at that point, and this just says exactly that. When they come back into session, they are only in session for 2 weeks in September. That is it for the rest of the year. So I would get some verbiage into your elected official, and there's just not going to be time for it to be pulled back up. That's kind of what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. Right now, it doesn't matter who your representative is, what district you live in. We need to continue to call, and we need to tell them we don't want this. Remind them of 1994. The assault weapons ban was passed in August. The largest defeat the Democratic Party, in memory of the Democratic Party, happened in November. That brought that particular election brought Newt Gingrich to the forefront, brought him to the leadership position in the House. He became Speaker of the House because of that election. We're still feeling effects of that election now. So
I think they're going to see an election like that again this year. I really do. I think that people are fed up because they're not fed because they can't buy food at the grocery store. I think that they are awake, not woke, but awake, and they are looking at the impact that these decisions are making on them and their families, and they are not the decisions that they want politicians to make for them.
yeah, let's see. I've been I haven't been able to go over and check. Let me get some comments, and we've got some really good ones up. Donald Hobson, local state prison had to have a prisoner go through an MRI. The guard's gun took off and landed right next to the prisoner. Prisoner couldn't access the gun since it was stuck to the machine. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad scenario. Just on a couple levels.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get this one up there. And that's also Donald, although software didn't pick up his name. Pelosi didn't have the votes, and she doesn't want the embarrassment of it coming up and not passing.
Right. They said that if Pelosi pulls it for a vote, it will be because she knows. I mean, the one thing that she is really good at is whipping the vote and counting the vote and knowing what she can depend on.
Yeah. Couple by gun websites get Pete's comments up here. We only didn't lose if they choose to stop attacking us. We win. We have learned how to get our community to a point where we have educated enough people so they stop attacking us at all. You know, Pete's right. When they give up is when we win.
Right. No, he's right.
So let's see here. Go back to, that's the button I want right there. And we got one more story here, and that'll take up pretty much the time we have. This one off the Gun Mag. This was a story by, and I can't put the video up, but a story by Lee Williams. Dave Nagel, one of the co-founders of Black Metal Firearms in Mesa, Arizona, said there was something odd about the inspector the ATF sent to audit his gun shop late last year. Pamela Scott, an industry operations manager, or IOI, from ATF's Phoenix Field Division, showed up in December 2021. Her audit lasted 2 months and concluded in February, which ruined more than a few Christmases. Basically, I'm gonna go ahead and jump down. There is a video of this ATF agent, and go to the Truth About Guns. It's a top story there. There's a video of this agent with the black book, the bound book from this store, opening the book, taking a cell phone, taking a picture. Flipping page, taking the cell phone, taking a picture. They're making a registry. That is against federal law.
Right. And when she was questioned, when she was approached, she was like, "Well, this is for my personal records
Mm.
and for my portion of the audit." And it's like, that's not an explanation. That is not an excuse. And she used her personal phone, not her company phone, to do it. So that leads so many other questions. But when you start to talk to gun shop owners, there have been many questionable things where the ATF comes in and asks questions that they shouldn't ask, and is digging into things that really are outside of the bounds of what they're doing. I mean, it's like the other day when they sent the police officer and two ATF agents to somebody's house. I don't remember the state now. To Because they thought that he was possibly a straw purchaser, and so they wanted to see all of his guns to make sure that he still had them.
Yeah, he
And
bought
they didn't have a warrant.
that was Delaware. I believe he
I think
wasn't it he bought 5 guns over 7 months?
or 7 guns over 5 months, something like that. It
Dude,
was
those are rookie numbers, man. You got to pump those numbers up.
numbers up. It was, but I mean, we talked about this Sunday night on our show, and the other part is that we had a guy when we owned our gun shop. We had a guy that the ATF went to his house and had this list of when he did transfers. He was we would consider him a very good customer.
Mhm.
The ATF would consider him a super user for just the amount of stuff that he bought from us, right? And I know he shopped at other gun shops. And so they came to his house and wanted to go through all of his guns, not with a warrant, but with a list of every day that he did a transfer. So
Mm.
they don't know. They just were like pistol this day, long gun this day, long gun this day, which is the call-in portion of the 4473 to the ATF. They kept it, and then they went to his house. So they legally cannot. So they have been systematically breaking the law and getting away with it for years. And the newest ATF director, I don't believe is going to be any different.
I, I
Better.
I'm right there with you on that. I I'm what my hope is we get a strong win on freedom side in November, followed by a stronger win 2 years from November. Then we can start pushing for it's time to get rid of the ATF.
It's time to
I
get rid of the NFA. It's time
yes,
to get rid of the 68 gun control
yeah.
crime bill. Yeah.
I those things I believe are going to go away through the courts eventually anyway, but it would be nice to get rid of them through the legislative process without having to go to the Supreme Court.
Right. Yeah, it
So,
keeps going. Daddy, they didn't listen. Can you
yeah.
tell them again?
And one last topic um I want when we're down by the bottom of the hour, so they're going to get a Magnum episode anyway, but um New York is blatantly flouting the Bruin decision. New Jersey is blatantly flouting the Bruin decision. At some point, don't they? I'm wondering, do they get a penalty? Is there a contempt of the Supreme Court, and the governor has to go to prison for a while? I
That would be
mean,
fabulous.
you,
Fabulous.
at some point, somebody's got to do some jail time for this. This is getting
Right.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
Um, Donald says the ATF were auditing the holster manufacturer's counter. I did hear of a story last week where the ATF was trying to get records from two holster manufacturers, they both told the ATF to go pound sand. We don't make guns, go away.
Right. I mean, but think about that. If the ATF goes to the ammo manufacturers, if they go to the holster manufacturers, if they go to the reloading die
Mm-hmm.
manufacturers, right? It won't take long before they can triangulate and have a pretty good idea of who got has what, uses what, goes through what. I mean, because if you're buying projectiles and powder and primers in, well, we'll just say in the quantities that Rob and I buy them, that will it will make the post office lady hate you. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first part, and it will bring attention to you and the fact that you are a frequent practicer of the art of shooting.
One more comment, and then I do have to shut this down.
He says that all the
I
time.
know,
He's
right?
he says we have a magnum. I Do you say that to any other guest host? Because you say
Charlie.
it to me every time.
Charlie gets a Magnum episode almost every time. I have a problem. We get great comments in. I don't want to shut the show down with great
Right.
comments hanging out there. Um, gun websites. A question asked
Oh,
today at gun manufacturers' testimony to Congress was, "Do you, fill in the blank, company want to abolish the ATF?" Each one said no, for what it's worth.
yeah, but you
Boy,
know why? Here's why. This is where Nancy Pelosi is really good because she whips the vote, counts the vote, and knows what. A singular stand on its own company saying, yes, I want to abolish the ATF when the ATF is the managing company that manages your success.
mm-hmm,
That's not the place where if I sent somebody to give a testimony, they asked that question and my person answered it, I would kick their keister around the block because they're not in a position to speak for the corporation as a singular entity.
yeah, exactly. Couple more
Though we all
again.
do wish them to go away.
We
We
do.
do want them to go away. But
We absolutely do. Uh, Follow up from gun websites. I understood those holster manufacturers were contacted by the Department of Commerce as part of the annual national budget research.
they called it a census. It was the Department of Commerce, but they called it a census. And what they were asking for was not just addresses and quantity of holsters, like states and quantity. They wanted to know Paul Lathrop, his address, and what gun that holster fit. That's
Mm,
not budget.
no, no, it's not. Uh, Smeggy says, just do a 3 hour show. Tune in Monday nights. That's a 90-minute show that rarely gets under 90 minutes.
Right. Sunday nights we do 2 hours. So
Yeah. And then from the Facebook side, Charlie Cook. Charlie just can't stop talking.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one. That's all I've got to say.
All right. And Smeggy, I have a hat from Dan Wesson that says repeal the NFA.
Yep.
And last one, really, this is the last one. Great point, Amanda. They have no right to ask that.
Yes. So
All right. On the
I just want to say that there are so many repeat viewers that are here and they're commenting, and I appreciate each and every one of them. I really do. So thank you. It makes this go so quickly, and it's really easy to be a guest on here with you, the topics, and then the interaction with the audience.
yeah, they do make my job so much easier. It's the people we have that are watching are an absolute blessing. Thank you, each and every one of you. You invite your friends. So anyway, we are going to shut it down at this point. Amanda, on our way out the door, tell us about what's coming up Friday night on your show and anything else you'd like to plug.
Friday night, there's nothing coming up because I am going to be headed to Detroit, and my backup video producer that rolls out stuff if I'm traveling happens to be traveling there also. So this Friday night, Women for Gun Rights, there will be no Women for Gun Rights, but Sunday show we will be doing live from Detroit, and this Rick Ector event is amazing. And if you watch, Rick is getting PR from across the country, and people are paying attention, and what he's doing makes such a big difference.
He's getting noticed in the legacy media. When the
Yes.
liberal legacy media notices and brings you out, you're doing something spectacular.
Yes.
All right. Hey, this one just because just because it affects us personally. Smeggy says check out Chicken Shack while in Detroit. We're gonna have to do that.
I don't know. I don't know where Chicken Shack is. But if you want to send Paul the general vicinity, that would be great. Because I definitely know that we're going to Greektown one night because it's Detroit. So
Mm. All right, folks, that is going to do it for us tonight. Normally, I would say tune in tomorrow, but don't tune in tomorrow. I'm not going to be here. I'll try and do updates from the road. They won't be regular shows like this. They'll be 5-10 minute monologues. But do come join us again next week, Tuesday through Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time. Until then, everybody, thanks for watching.